Good morning, everybody. I am Nick from Defined Life. This is our daily Define My Day live session where we talk about what's going on in our lives, questions you might have about Define My Day, and we try to go into a specific topic a little bit deeper to help you through this weird time in our lives, but also just life in general. Try to make things a little bit easier and a little bit more focused for you so you can focus on what matter and lead the life that you want to lead. So I'm here again. Today is Tuesday. It is 10 o'clock Eastern. We are here regularly at 10 o'clock. Unless something in life happens for me that I can't be here, I try to come here a little bit late if possible, or at the very least tomorrow. So keep an eye out here. We are live on the Define My Day page. We are live on YouTube, and we are live in the DMD user group, where if you comment, your comments will be more private, in that the general public won't see your username if you have a question that you don't want anybody outside of the user group to be able to identify to you. So that said, I hope you're having a great morning so far. It's pretty good morning so far for me. I am in the middle of assembling a kitchen cart for Lynn. Started it last night, got a little bit too frustrated and tired by 9 o'clock, so I gave up on it so I could start it again today. Putting together furniture is probably one of those things that I can't stand. So far I've put together kitchen table, I've put together a basketball hoop, I've put together a kitchen cart now. Can't wait to do more. That's sarcasm. I am that is certainly not something that I enjoy doing. I do not like putting furniture together, but I also don't want anybody coming into my house to do it for me because I'm trying to keep my social circles smaller, right? So that's where I'm at. So trying to balance that, trying to pace it out now that we've moved, right? I'm trying to pace it out so that I accomplish enough work through the day that I feel like I'm doing enough, but also that I am continuously trying to bring us up to speed in our house. As you can see here, I still have boxes behind me in my office. This office needs to be taken care of because I can't have disarray. So we brought up a whiteboard so I could do some lessons later on, so that I can, we brought up a lot of my other stuff so I can get my shelves done, my stuff on the walls, things to my desk so I have all my supplies. Um, but I'm trying to be also understanding with myself in that I can't do all of it every day. So we'll get a little bit into that. We're also going to get into routines. My routines have fallen off, and me bringing them back on is a high priority for me over the course of the next couple of weeks. So I'm working on that. And one of the big things for me is my morning routine. So we're going to discuss that real quick too. Good morning to you from South Florida, and Lori, good morning to you too. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. Let's see. Let's get onto our meme of the day. Our meme today. If you know, I was never a huge Chuck Norris fan as a kid, but I do love the Chuck Norris jokes. So Chuck Norris has been exposed to coronavirus, COVID-19. The virus is now in quarantine for 14 days. I wish it were that easy. Thank you, Chuck Norris, for doing this for us. Appreciate it. Good morning, Janice, and good morning, Debbie. Ready for my sunny California weather to return? Yeah, so I guess apparently you guys are getting some rain, huh? I guess that's good for the drought. My wife and I went to San Diego 10, 15 years ago, a long time ago. I don't even remember how long now. But they were in the midst of a drought, and it was just rocky, barren terrain. And we went back a couple of years later after the drought had subsided and they got a lot of rain. And it's amazing the difference. I mean, it went from being a desert to, it's still kind of an arid climate, right? It's still a rocky, sandy climate, but there were flowers and plants everywhere. It was a completely different landscape. It was pretty weird. It was pretty weird to see. So yeah, California changes depending on the weather. I'm gonna do one thing real quick and change this light just a little bit because I do look kind of yellow. I think that looks a little bit better. All right. So what's up, Jenny? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Like I said, yesterday, my days right now are very much split between household chores and things I need to do to get my life in order, and also trying to keep up with work. So my attention has been divided. I guess if you want to split it between home and work, it's divided, but at the same time, it's all part of life. So, I'm trying to maintain a balance so that I'm accomplishing things, so that eventually in a couple of weeks it all comes together and I have this, well organized space, but also I'm working well. And so yesterday was kind of crazy. So we get this kitchen cart that Lynn's been waiting for. It arrived like a week after we anticipated it, and we need it for a little bit extra storage space and a little extra counter space. And so, Lynn's excited to get it, and it arrived on our porch yesterday, and I've been putting it together, and it is just frustrating. It is really frustrating. But, there's that. Plus, I was doing all our grocery shopping for a while yesterday. And the kids also want a lot of attention, so I'm trying to hang out with the kids and play with the kids. So there's a lot of things going on. But the way I have been looking at it is that, like, the overall goal, so the way I'm chunking it down, and I'm hoping that this helps you understand how you want to chunk things down. So we're talking about like this overwhelm and anxiety and these big things we have to do. Now, I moved into this excuse me. I moved into this phase in my life where we now have this big thing we have to digest, which is, getting ourselves situated in a new home, moving a business and our personal lives into a new space. So, there's a lot involved in that. There's the physical act of moving. There's setting things up. There's, getting our workspaces into a place that we can operate. There's then also doing things to our house to get it ready for sale, our old house. And so we're working on that also. And then there's, the contractors involved in that and that sort of thing. I mean, the house is, needs to be updated. We had it painted last week. There are other things we need to do to make sure that it looks nice and actually is nice for somebody else to move into, for us to sell it. So we're trying to manage all of these things. And so yesterday, we had a couple of things that we needed to accomplish. Lynn needed a shelving unit placed in the basement so that she can put all of our food in the basement, and food products and toiletries or toilet paper and all that stuff in our storage space in the basement. Getting that stuff out of the garage into the basement, getting the shelving unit that was taken apart out of the garage into the basement. We needed to get her workout space set up in the garage with the floor mats and all that stuff and the weights and all that stuff. So what I ended up doing, so this is only a component of getting the whole house in order, right? There's a lot of things. We have all of these things, and the point is just to take the pieces that can be done now that have an impact on the other pieces. And so while the big goal is to get the house in order, the smaller thing is to get the basement and the garage in order. And if we can get both of those two things in order, then extraneous stuff can either be taken out of the garage, put into the basement on the shelves, or taken out of the upstairs if we don't need it, and down into the basement or down into the garage. It just allows us to filter things out. So over the weekend, my goal with the garage was just to get everything off the floor. So I put up shelving units in the garage and take everything off the floor, and didn't really worry about how organized it was, and just put it on the shelves, right? And so that clears off space for us to operate in the garage. In the basement, we sort of did the same thing. We just shoved everything into the basement on the floor that needed to be in the basement, and then we put up shelves in the basement, and she filtered everything out into the shelves. So now we are clearing off the floor in the basement. And it's just a step-by-step process every day. None of it needs to be finished right now, right? It just needs to be like, okay, next we do this. So after all of my shelf building and everything I did over the weekend in the garage, yesterday, my one goal, it didn't need to be perfect, but my one milestone for the week and the priority for the day yesterday was to get my car in the garage, right? So in order to do that, I needed to clear off enough space to get the car in the garage, no matter how that happened. Now, other priorities were to also create the workout space in the garage, right? So that she has, in the second car area that we're not going to use at the park, we're going to use it as a workout space. So I needed to do that. So in order for me to do that, other things had to happen, right? So I needed to take the shelving unit that was deconstructed out of the garage and place it in the basement. We then take our foodstuffs from the garage that were in the garage and that were also on the floor in the basement and put them on that shelf that I built in the basement. The other goal then is to create the workout space. So I create the workout space. In order to do that, I needed to put other stuff on the shelves. I needed to reorganize the shelves a little bit. The ultimate goal, all of this leads up to being able to put the car in the garage. That was the milestone. So whatever had to happen, I needed to get the car in the garage. So at the end of the day, the workout space is created, shelving unit is created, all that stuff is done. But at the end of the day, what I needed to do was get the car in the garage. So not pretty, right? Not pretty. Didn't need to be pretty, just needed to be done. So I got the workout space done. There's still a couple of things that prohibit me from getting the car in the garage. Those things just got shoved to the side, and I got the car in the garage. Now, car has established itself in the garage, right? It's not going to move because we have nowhere to go. So now, seeing how much space it's going to take, I am going to work around it. And later on this week, now the garage is going to be left alone, right? We can work out in there. We can park our car in there, and it's done for now. So we move on to other things in the house and handle those things. And then I'll come back to the garage in a couple of days and start up, doing what's needed in there. But none of it needs to be perfect. It just needs to get done, So you're not going to walk into my garage and go, man, this is really nice. It's not going to happen. It's a mess still. It's not perfect. It's not pretty, but it is done. I got what I needed to get done. Now I can move on to other things. So now, today, going to my priorities. Let me take a look real quick. Now, my priorities today are to set up another room in the first floor of the house and to finish this kitchen cart. That's one of my priorities. The overall priority is house. Those are my two things that I need to get done in the house. My other is business related. I have an overall business goal for today, and I have 3 things that need to happen to accomplish that goal. And then I also my other priority is the old house, and that just involves making some phone calls, right? So those are my 3 priorities for the day, and I'll get those things done. Now, on the side, I have my to-do list. And if I look at how my day is going to go today, I woke up this morning, immediately went to the kitchen cart because I need to get that off my plate. I need to get the kitchen cart done so when it's done, Lynn can do what she needs to do to organize it and get stuff in the drawers and all that sort of thing. I then had this, which is a regularly scheduled obligation for me. So this is my, on my day, always scheduled at 10 o'clock. So I had to prep for this and do this. And then I'm going to go to lunch, and I have it scheduled as lunch and learn. So I'm going to sit down, eat lunch while also learning something. So whether it's listening to a podcast or watching a video or taking an online course, I'm going to lunch and learn. And then I move on back to any household items that I have. And then I'm going to shift my focus back to work. And I'm going to have my work priorities scheduled for about 2 hours in the afternoon. At 4 o'clock, I go to my to-do list items. So all of the things that I have on the side of my page here that are to-do list items that need to be done today if possible, they're all fairly quick, but they're all just like little small monotonous things. When I do these things, I can throw on, a TV if I want to listen to the news while I'm doing it. I can, watch an old movie if I want to do that. Something that's not going to pull my attention, that's going to kind of just help me like get through this monotonous stuff. And then like that's it. That's it for my day. And at that point in time, if I'm done with that by 5 or 6, I can wrap up anything toward the later in the day. But I have dinner scheduled for 6 o'clock. We try to eat dinner at the same time every day. And so we're making fajitas, so it's Taco Tuesday. I'm going to make fajitas, so it's Fajita Tuesday for us. I'll prep that. Lynn will prep the side dishes or whatever she's doing. Maybe I'll make a margarita. I don't know. And then I have family time scheduled for afterward. Family time with my boys may be taking a walk around the block. It may be watching the Jordan, the Bulls documentary, or it may be playing outside, playing basketball, something like that. So, I have free time, like wiggle room scheduled in here in a few places, but, it's all pretty much laid out for me today. Now, I can move things around if I need to, but for the most part, I'm going to try to stick to this. And then at the end of the day, I can observe how I did and journal it and move on for tomorrow. It's always a work in progress. I'm always trying to figure out, what the best blend right now of home and work that's good for us. I can't go too far into work because that places too much of a burden on Lynn to get things done around the house, and a lot of it's stuff that she can't physically do. But it also, the more I focus on work without taking care of things at home, the more things at home build frustration, and the more that like I can't find what I need. So in any kind of move, it's always frustrating and stressful, and the longer it lingers, the worse of an impact it's going to have. So I'm trying to get as much done as possible so that at some point in time, I'll really be at 110% with work, being able to do more and more, and not have to worry about any extraneous things. Now, there's always going to be things, if you own a home, if you have a life outside of work, there's always going to be other things. But trying to maintain a good blend is incredibly important, and we swing back and forth depending on priorities. But trying to maintain that blend. So right now I'm in this phase where like home was like every part of every day, and now we're slowly coming down the other side where I'm trying to create more of a blend between the two, between work and home. So still skewing a little bit more toward home than I would like, but I need to get it done. Like, it just has to happen. So we got to do what we got to do. Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me. As we're going here, like the one thing the one big thing, important thing for me to keep, as I'm going here, is to stay focused on my routine and my health, right? And that starts with waking up, getting good sleep and waking up at the same time every day, getting a good routine in. So, I even read a quick article about it this morning, and it's a little bit. It was a little bit basic, not something I would want to share with you, but it reinforces the point that when you're trying to develop a good sleep routine, you want to set a solid wake up time rather than a bedtime. I've played around with both, and I've especially now with all this stuff going on. I've tried to set like a bedtime of 10 o'clock, or as opposed to setting a wake up time of 5 or 6, right? And I thought that would work for me, but what ended up happening is I would start slipping into sleeping in a little bit more and more every day. And I experimented with it because I wanted to see if maybe it was my body saying, like, you need more rest and you need to sleep in, and I'll wake up when it's my time. But what ends up happening is I slip into staying up too late and sleeping in too late. And then when I wake up, like, things are coming at me. And, I just I can't do that. So I'm moving back to a 6 o'clock wake up time where I wake up at 6 o'clock. And no matter what, no matter how tired I am, I wake up at 6. And that gives me a good solid 2 hours before the kids wake up, when I can handle the things that I need to handle. I can get ready, I can take a shower if I need to, I can read, I can meditate, I can define my day. It's a low pressure time that just allows me to go about my morning until things, when the kids wake up and things start happening, phone calls start happening, and, there's all this stuff. So, that's my good 2 hours of doing what's good for me, right? Uh, Now, I wake up, my goal is to wake up at 6 o'clock every day, no matter how tired I am. And that forces my body to start getting tired, right? I'm not going to take like giant naps in the middle of the day. I'm just going to keep on working. And then I should naturally start to just get tired earlier in the day, and my body should naturally just want to go to sleep at an earlier time than I'm currently used to, which is like 11:30, which is not good for me because that makes me wake up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Not good. So if I wake up at 6, go through the day with no nap, no nothing, and then my body says, okay, time to shut down at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I, within about 2 weeks, will start to naturally fall asleep at 10 o'clock, or at least my body will start saying, like, okay, let's go to bed, right? And I go to bed at 10 o'clock, and then it'll be easier to wake up at 6. So I'm sort of forcing myself to wake up at 6. It's basically a willpower thing for the first couple of weeks. And then naturally it'll just start happening. It's like a way to reset your cycle. Whereas if you just try to force yourself to bed at 10 o'clock and wake up at whatever time in the morning, you can't just force yourself to sleep. It just doesn't happen. And then, you're exhausted in the morning and it's hard to get out of bed. Unless you set that hard, I'm waking up at 6. So Kathy asks, how far out are you time blocking? One day at a time or several days at a time? I generally wait until the night before to time block the next day, because there's not much that I need to have set in stone. The way I look, my schedule, if you look at my schedule right now, my days are blocked off with my obligations, for the foreseeable future. So this live session is set as a reoccurring appointment, a reoccurring scheduled event every day in perpetuity. It goes forever, right? Now, there are other things as they come up that, like a hard appointment with a customer or a hard appointment with a vendor, those get put into my schedule. Now, those I always try to fit within my ideal day, right? So my ideal day, if you've done it in your Define My Day, should have like your priority time I recommend in the morning. So all of my appointments get scheduled into the afternoon on most days, unless it can't be scheduled any other time. And so what, as I look forward, I don't do it on my calendar. Like I don't put, priority time from 9 to 12 on my calendar. I just know that that's where my priority time goes. So if you need to actually see it on your calendar, maybe you do want to schedule out priority time, from 9 to 12 or 9 to 11 or 9 to 10, whatever yours might be. Schedule that priority time out ahead of time, and then change what the subject is as you're going forward. I do that with these live sessions. So going forward at 10 o'clock, it just says live session every day. And then as I come up with the topic, I edit it and put the topic in there. And so, I can look at my calendar many times and see 2 weeks of topics going forward on my calendar. Sometimes I don't have all of that. It just depends on how it goes. But I try to, schedule as much as possible going forward, and then, fit in, the night before, what open areas I have. So somebody's in here with their first daily session. Good to get started. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you could make it with us. Thank you. Jenny says, resume 6 a.m. wake up time this week. Probably going back to work in the next few weeks, so I need to get back at an earlier bedtime because 5 a.m. will come quickly. You bet. And it's funny because I was thinking about how far we've come in the past couple of months. I was waking up 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Now I've been waking up 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, sometimes a little bit later, depending on what time I went to bed or how much physical labor I did the day before. But you're right, like shifting this back, a lot of people have to make this adjustment. It can be a little bit, it's rough on your body. And they say that like even with the time change, daylight savings time, when you do that, it has a negative impact on the physiology of people, and it can, like, there's a rise heart attacks and things like that because of this change in the sleep patterns. So everybody's going to kind of have to shift back into like, hey, we got to go to work now, right? And it's kind of the same thing for me. Like it's like a little bit of a stress on my system to try to shift it back to where it should be. So yeah, so if you can't see everyone else's comments, so there are three places where this video is. You might not see the comments, depending on where you are. You see the comments, and I try to put up the comments as I read them if it's a longer one, so you can see them. The way we're broadcasting this, we have it on the Facebook page, the regular Define My Day Facebook page. We have it in the user group for people that want to keep their names obscured here, but it just says unknown. And then we have the comments on YouTube for the people that are watching it on YouTube. Yes, you're watching it from the user group feed. So this person has been away for months or a year, and you're back. Thank you for joining back, and thank you for joining us on this session. I'm glad you're back. Good to see you. So that's the sleep side of things is what I'm working on right now, and I'm working back into, now that I found my vitamins and supplements and things, I found the box that they were in yesterday. I started taking them yesterday, so I was able to check off supplements on my daily disciplines yesterday, and I'm looking forward to doing that going forward. And so this week is big for me to get back on my disciplines. Exercise I've not been working on a whole lot because I'm getting like every day. I think there were only 2 days last week where I missed my move goal on my Apple Watch because I've just been doing so much. That calorie burn. I think my goal is like 650 move calories on top of regular calories. And I've been hitting that goal every day for the past 2 or 3 weeks, except for 2 days last week. But I'm also seeing that because I missed it on 2 days last week, that my activity level is dropping a little bit because, the moving side of things is starting to wane. So now I need to start coming back with some exercise to make sure I'm still meeting that goal. So exercise is set up, exercise area is set up now. But my disciplines now, I'm working on a few things. So for me, I can even tell you what my disciplines are so far. My list used to be really big. As I'm easing into it, my list is smaller. So I have the regular ones that are rest, exercise, eating well, drinking the right amount of water for me, which for me is 200 ounces. Positive interaction, which is, did we have positive interactions today? And then my few added ones are to define my day. That's one of my disciplines, define my day. 2 glasses of water when I first wake up in the morning. Taking my supplements, which I have a list of supplements I take, but to briefly hit them for you, I take a multivitamin. I think it's a GNC multivitamin. I take turmeric. I take fish oil. I take a magnesium supplement, vitamin D, and what's the one other thing I take? There's one more thing. I can't remember off the top of my head, but those are the main ones I take. It's to reduce inflammation, increase joint health. The magnesium is something that it's actually a couple of other compounds in there, calcium, magnesium, but it's to help me with migraines. And there's a couple of other benefits that I read about in the Grain Brain that I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's all in a way to just be healthier overall. Vitamin D is actually a recommendation from my doctor because my vitamin D was a little bit low. I do a supplemental shake every day as a meal replacement. My new discipline this week is to be up at 6 a.m. So that's my discipline. I have to be awake out of bed at 6 a.m. if I'm going to be able to check that off. And then my last one is to journal at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, every day, I want to journal. Now, one of my disciplines that I want to add to this eventually, as I get a routine going, is to have like some sort of like casual physical activity, whether it's playing basketball with the boys now that we have a basketball hoop, or walking around the neighborhood. Something that is a not exercise. It won't be considered exercise, but it will be an additional form of being active. That might be kind of like the discipline might be like, I don't know what I'll call it, like be active or something like that. So that's going to be one of my disciplines that gets added in maybe next week or the week after. We'll see. I'm not quite ready to do it yet because I'm so active with all the stuff I'm doing. But we're going to get there. And I'll have other ones. I got to take cleaning up dog poop off of my disciplines list because my son does it now. It's even an alarm on his phone at 11 o'clock every day. He has to go outside and pick up the dog poop from this morning. So I got rid of one. So yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's it for today. I hope everybody is doing well. It's good to see you. Thank you all for the comments. If you have any questions going forward, if there's something about Define My Day that you need to know more about, leave a question in the comments, message us, use the little help icon on the website, or message us through Facebook Messenger. We're happy to help. If you don't want it to be public, if you don't mind asking the community, if you're in the user group, go ahead and get in there and ask. And so many people in there have good, positive comments and feedback for people. If you have any questions, go ahead and get in there and do that. Debbie, real quick, I'm going to go into Debbie here. I have increased activity on my list, so I walk or ride my bike or something. Yeah. And so that's kind of, I'm trying to go into this real quick. The reason I'm doing that, Debbie, is because I'm trying to make it more of my identity. Like, where exercise is just this thing I do, I'm trying to make being active more of my identity, so that like physical activity is happening regardless of whether I exercise or not. So it's just more of my everyday life. So yeah. All right, everybody, have a great day. It was great to see you. Keep moving forward, stay healthy, and I will see you all again tomorrow. Bye.